Welcome back to the channel and another What's Sold on eBay segment. This is where we go on eBay.com. We search for a certain item to see what is selling. Today we're going to do Janis Joplin clothing items. So of course we all know Janis Joplin as the prolific singing artist, but there is quite a few clothing items online for sale with her image on it. Let's take a look at a few. So today we just searched keywords Janis Joplin. We looked at the clothing section and it shows that there's 1,900 results for Janis Joplin. 1900. So here's a quick look at some of the stuff that pops up. Here is a vintage wrap tee, they're calling it. Janis Joplin, $65 they're saying on that. They got some sunglasses here, vintage sunglasses from the 70s, $120. Next to that we got a brand new Janis Joplin, 17 to 23 depending on size. Vintage 2007 for $94, so that's a pretty good listing right there. Here's one they're claiming is either from the 60s or the 70s. They're asking $102.50 for that one. Next to that we got one for $25 here, men's medium Prince Peter collection, they're calling that one. And next to that a 2000 tee for $16.50. So the pricing is all over the board. And finally an American Eagle with Janis Joplin on it. That last one was $12.99. So you can see the pricing is all over the board from $12.99 on up to I think $102 was that one t-shirt. So some of them can get kind of pricey depending on age. Obviously the vintage ones from the 60s and 70s are the most desirable and asking the most money for those. But let's take a look at what is actually selling. So with 1900 listed, what we want to know is what is actually selling. So we go over here to the show only and we click the sold items box right here. Click that and it'll show us what has actually sold the last 90 days. So that's something I recommend all resellers do before they decide to sell something. Go ahead and see how many are out there and how many are actually selling. Check that sell-through rate to see if it is a good decision to actually buy that item, or if maybe it's something you might be sitting on for a long time. You can kind of see how many are out there, see the demand for the item, and the marketplace kind of tells you what the pricing will be for that item as well. You can see what others are selling for when you check that sold listing. So we're going to take a look right now and see how these Janis Joplin clothing items are selling. So here is the results for some items that have ended recently. These are the most recent. This is a brand new Janis Joplin, kind of a American flag theme. Look, $13 to $30 depending on size. We got a couple here, same shirt it looks like, 22 and 20. And next to that we got one that sold for 99 cents. So obviously that one might have had some flaws or they priced it incorrectly. So that's kind of one mistake that a lot of new eBayers might try. They think, oh, let's start it at 99 cents. This thing will get bid up and we'll make all kinds of money. And sometimes that's not the case. If there's no demand for the item, they put it up there at 99 cents and it sells for 99 cents. So that's a good way to lose your money, and you want to at least price it where the market, the median price is what the market will bear. And don't go too low unless you have something that's really in demand. Let's see what some more of these are selling for. So again, here's the second row. This one's $19.99. These are just random, ended recently. Here's one for $17.94 rather. And $18.99 for this one, a brand new Janis Joplin. Here's a nice tie-dye one. This one $23.28. So that's a pretty cool tee for $23. So I'm not sure if I told you or not, but of the 1,900 items that were online, only 239 have sold the last 90 days. So this Janis Joplin search is not a great item to be listing online. The sell-through rate is pretty poor. 1,900 out there and only 239 sold. But that doesn't mean you can't find a nice tee and make some decent money off it. You just have to find the right ones. So what we're going to do is narrow our search a little bit more and see what are selling for big money. So as you can see by the chart here, most of what is listed is under $20, but we want to find the big money items, and for like a t-shirt over $50, that's what we're going to try today. I usually do 100, but there weren't a lot over 100, so we're going to do 50, and I'm going to show you quite a few that have sold for over $50. There's some cool tees, and I want to show you about a dozen of them, so stick around and let's take a look. 50 bucks we put in there. we hit that little arrow on the right hand side and that will show us the results. So I'm deciding to go and show you 12 items. We're going to look at a dozen of these that have sold recently in at least the last 90 days. And we're going to count them down to the most expensive. So starting at number 12, let's take a look. At number 12 of the most expensive Janis Joplin tee sold is this. It's a vintage Janis Joplin t-shirt, adult large, purple, blue, tie-dye, cosmic blues, Y2K, sold for $57.77. A pretty cool tee. I had to show you this one. Look at the colors on that one. The purple and white stripes. They're saying blue. I guess that is a bluish white, but look at that, cosmic blues. And this one is an older tee. I think it said 2000. So here are all the pictures. We're going to kind of go fast. Then look at the back there. Got the star and the peace sign and definitely all the measurements there. So we want to show you a dozen, but that is the first of 12 we're going to show you. At number 11 in the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin shirts sold on eBay is this. It's a vintage 90s Janis Joplin all over print single stitch t-shirt, men's size extra large, and it sold for $60. Look at that. Pretty cool tee. They just have 3 photos here, so we'll go through this one quick. You see the front there, and the tag is a Cronies size extra large, made in the USA, single stitch. And there's a look at the back. So images on both the front and back make this one kind of a special find. Number 11 on our list for $60. At number 10 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin clothing items sold on eBay the last 90 days was this one. I had to show you guys this one. It was a nice looking tee, a 2002 Sundog Janis Joplin motorcycle bee-free tie-dye double side t-shirt, size extra large, keyword blue, sold for $65. Look at this, they got all kinds of photos. This is a cool t-shirt for sure. And let's get through these and take a look. You got kind of the sky blue up top, and there she is on the motorcycle as the main image. Sundog is the name of the brand. I think it says it's from 2000. Hard to read there, but there you see the bottom kind of tie-dye. And Sundog extra large. Keep an eye out for these branded items, these tags. There it says on the back, what does it say? It's hard to be free, but when it works, it sure is worth it, right? Some sort of lyrics. I think I read that correctly. There it is. Let's see. It's hard to be free, but when it works, it sure is worth it. Janis Joplin. So that's on the back, a little quote. And look at this tee. Isn't it a gorgeous tee? $65. They got the measurements. And definitely one of the nicer tees online. At number 9 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin clothing items sold on eBay the last 90 days was this one. They got a model. Here it is. It's a Daydreamer Free People Janis Joplin yellow graphic band t-shirt, size extra small, rare, sold for $62.95. So Free People, the brand, is using a Janis Joplin to sell some tees, it looks like. They're getting some models in there on the mix as well. So just the one picture, that is enough to get this one sold and make it to the list. $62.95 sold. Number 8 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin t-shirts sold on eBay the last 90 days is this. It's a $19.95 Janis Joplin. That's all they put. Janis Joplin t-shirt sold for $75. There you see it, kind of a colorful graphic of her on some sort of car. Looks to be a pretty colorful car. Blank on the back, and All Sport Pro Weight label, made in the USA, so it is an older one. 95 they're claiming. And there you see the information, the stitching, and there is that front graphic. Sold $75. At number 7 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin clothing items sold on eBay is this Rock Band t-shirt. All Sport, that's what they're calling it. $75 this one sold for. Let's take a look at it. It has Janis Joplin on the front there. And actually there was more to the title. All I saw was the Rock Band. It says Janis Joplin Vintage 90s Psychedelic Acid Hippie Rock Band t-shirt. XR large, all sports. So I didn't quite see all of the title there, and they got all the right keywords in there to get this one sold for $75. There you see the front image. There's a full look at it, And there's the measurements they're putting on there, front and top to bottom. 1994, I think it says there, if my eyes serve me right. All Sport is the name of the label, and there's a look at the back of it. $75 for this Janis Joplin tee. Alright, at number 6 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin t-shirts sold on eBay is this. I'm going to group them all together. It's a John Varvatos Janis Joplin tees. Here are 3, one sold for $79 and 2 sold for $89.99. So let's take a look at this one. Here is a better look at the image, just her singing into the microphone. John Varvatos put these out, kind of similar to Free People used her image to sell some t-shirts as well. But this one is brand new John Varvatos, extra large, $89.99. Again, the other one sold $79.99. So you're selling these John Varvatos tees for quite a bit of money. It says Janis Joplin on the back there. And they have a model with this one as well. So some big name brands are using her image to make a little bit of money. And there you see John Varvatos is one of them. Extra large, made in Peru. This came out in 2024. And they're still getting that big money for tees like this. Alright, that was number 6, which means we've made it to the top 5. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this look at Janis Joplin and the big money tees and other clothing items that can sell for big money on eBay. And hopefully you'll take note of some of these brands, some of these labels that you can be on the lookout. If you see a Janis Joplin out there at the thrift store, you'll know what to pick up and what to leave behind. So we're going to count down 5 more. Hopefully you'll stick around and see what's at number 1. Okay, at number 5 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin clothing items sold on eBay is another Free People. Here's a new with tags Free People X Daydreamer Janis Joplin poster tee shirt in cream, and it's sold for $98. There you see they use the beautiful model to kind of get it in front of more eyes and get this one sold. You want to look as good as her, you got to get one of these Janis Joplin tees. Look at that. There's multiple photos of this beautiful blonde here. She got the over-the-shoulder look as well. Look at that. Excellent job posing. And there's that look at the actual tee that you'll be getting. $98 can get you this one. Number 5 on the list. At number 4 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin t-shirts sold on eBay is this one. Pretty cool. One of my favorites here. This is a made-worn Janis Joplin vintage inspired tee, size extra small, San Francisco 60s band tee. So this is vintage inspired and it's sold for $117.09. There you see it, Janis Joplin concert tee, San Francisco 1967 it says on there. Pretty cool image. This isn't even from the era that they're claiming well, it might be. They're saying vintage inspired, but it looks to be vintage unless they did a really good job making this one look old. Maybe they fooled me. Extra small. Sometimes that's what they do. They make it a little bit holes and tatter it a little bit and give it that wash wear and claim it as vintage inspired. So maybe that's the case with this one. $117 though for all their hard work. They put those little pinholes in it and everything. So I got plenty of shirts that look like that, and I didn't put any work into them. But here it is. This one sold for $117.09, number 4 on our list. At number 3 on the list of the most expensive Janis Joplin clothing items sold on eBay the last 90 days is this vintage Janis Joplin Big Brother concert tee from 1968. Poster, a size extra large, a Mouse Studios it's saying there, sold for $124.99. Best offer accepted, so maybe a little bit less than that. Let's take a look at this one. Pretty cool. Over $100 for this t-shirt. So Zigzag it says on there. Big Brother, Quicksilver, Messenger Service. So some of the bands that may have been on this concert poster. There you see it, San Francisco 9 p.m. Avalon Band. And there you see the label, Big something or other. I can't quite make that. Big Productions. Tell a friend it says there. Big Productions is what I'm seeing. There's the back, just a plain white on the back, but that front logo there, that zigzag poster image is enough to get this one sold for $124.99 and number 3 on our list. Alright, we've made it to number 2. I'm considering number 2 kind of the number 1 Janis Joplin clothing item sold, so that's why I'm taking a pause here to tell you guys that. And we'll show you two more though. The top item was worthy of a show as well, but this is the most expensive t-shirt that sold related to Janis Joplin. So let's take it in and see how much it sold for. Here it is at number 2 on our list of the most expensive Janis Joplin clothing items sold on eBay is this. It's a vintage 80s Janis Joplin Big Brother and the Holding Company tie-dye shirt, size large, sold for $150. Best offer accepted. Let's take a look at this one. Of course, this one made the top of the list because it had that tie-dye. People love tie-dye, right? So here's a nice tie-dye with the Janis Joplin image, and it looks to be pretty bright, pretty good. She's wearing the glasses there and has a little cat up in the corner there. What do they call that? A Cheshire anvil label, a size large on the anvil label. So everybody knows the anvil label. Nothing special there, but the shirt definitely is special. From the 80s. There you see, is it a single stitch? I can't quite tell. Looks to be maybe a single stitch, is which makes it in more demand. Looks like it has a couple flaws there on the front, on her face actually. So they circled those so you can know where they are. And there's another little flaw. So this one is not without flaws. You saw that other one they distressed on purpose. This one has actual flaws from wash wear probably and from wear. So a couple little pinholes in this one, but it didn't stop it from selling for $150 and making it to number 2 on our list. There you see that tie-dye spiral on back. Definitely a cool looking tie-dye, and that's why it made it to number 2 on the list. Most expensive Janis Joplin clothing items. Alright, we made it to number 1. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this look at a dozen Janis Joplin related items. There were some eyeglasses in the mix as well. You know, obviously she was famous for those kind of purple, or were they purple eyeglasses? I think that she wore those little round ones, kind of like John Lennon. And you saw those featured in some of the images on the tees. But this last item was not necessarily related to Janis Joplin, but it was a cool one that made it to the list. They used Janis Joplin in the keywords, so I thought it was worthy of showing you guys. Maybe you see this in the coat section and wonder, should I pick it up? You could list it as a 60s Janis Joplin jacket, and it might make the list. Here it is at number 1 on our list of the most expensive Janis Joplin related clothing items sold on eBay is this. It's a vintage 60s hippie crushed velvet mustard gold jacket. Coat Woodstock Janis Joplin. There you here's a Janis Joplin in there, size small. So they listed this one and it sold for $199.99, making it the top selling item on our list. So not really related to Janis Joplin, but you know, September's here. You want a jacket to dress up as Janis Joplin for Halloween? There's one that you could definitely use. Again, this one is modeled by the gal, and she probably collects vintage clothing. I found this one at the thrift and modeled it up herself. Put it on a mannequin as well. It's a really nice listing. They took a lot of great photos, and it's definitely a unique jacket. There you can see that lining there, crushed velvet mustard gold, they're calling that. So they're using all the right keywords, some interesting colors. Mustard gold, I'd never heard that. Jacket coat Woodstock they put in there. They gotta be careful with the keyword spamming. You know, if it's not Woodstock, if it's not Janis Joplin, they might get in trouble with eBay, but it looks like they let this one slide. So you gotta be a little bit careful with the keywords that you're using in your listings. But this one, they put the Janis Joplin name associated with it, and it led to the sale. $199.99. Has a little hole there in the seam. That didn't stop it though. It looks like a snap front, so kind of even cooler in my opinion. You can get in and out of that one no problem at all. And she did a good job modeling that one out there on the back porch, hand in the pocket, looking fresh and ready for the 60s, right? Isn't it the 60s? So this one has some age to it for sure, and that's why it made it to number 1 on our list, $199.99. So kind of interesting to see what made it to number 1. That last one actually coming to us from Trenton, Canada. So an international sale. sold to the United States from Trenton, Canada. So a lot of times, you know, you'll find some cool vintage stuff around the world that can make its way back to the United States and make it to the top of the list of Janis Joplin items sold. So you can do this search yourself. You know, it's kind of fun to see that. Just did Janis Joplin, search the clothing, and then separated it by highest to lowest. You saw it was on the market. You saw it was selling over 50 bucks. And you saw a dozen of them, so some of them do sell. As you can see, the sell-through rate on these is not very good. What was there? 1,900 listed and only 238 sold, I think. Yeah, I think those numbers are correct. When we looked for items that sold over $50, there were only 17 that showed up, so not a lot of big money items. That's kind of why we narrowed our search to over $50 instead of the usual 100 that we do for other searches. But Janis Joplin items do sell. You saw the nice ones out there, so if you do find something special like that, something tie-dye, something with Free People or John Varvatos, you saw those two on the list. You definitely can earn a $50 bill for them or more. So keep an eye out for those. Janis Joplin still selling after all these years. The famous 60s music artist still making waves here well into 2024. So all that being said, I think I'm going to call an end to this What Sold video. If you want to see more, there's a folder with all kinds of What Sold videos in it. You can go search. We've done all kinds of searches. Kind of a way to educate myself and others about what is selling for big money online. We check the sell-through rates. We check what is sold. We check what's selling usually for over $100. And then we usually count down the top 5 items. Today we did a dozen, so a little bonus for you. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you like this type of information and you want to continue educating yourself and becoming a better reseller, you can go ahead and follow my daily vlog. You can learn about all the stuff that's selling out of my store. You can see the What Sold videos as well as other content going up to my channel. All you got to do is hit that subscription button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time a new video drops. So now that you've watched this one to the very end, I ask that you do me a little favor. Give this one a big thumbs up on your way out. That will get it in front of a few more eyes. Thanks again for watching this one to the very end. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.